You better be excited, because in today's video I'm going to be talking about how excitement appears in different ways in my life, and while we do that we'll get to take a look at a legendary anime magazine, see what I've been spending all my money on, find out why people thought I was going to prison, and how I'm trying to capture a little more excitement in my daily life. Thanks so much for watching, subscribing, and sharing the video. Let's get started. I never would have thought history would be something I would end up seeking out in the books I read, the videos I watch, the podcasts I listen to. I'm not talking about BC or AD history, I'm talking about BA. I'm talking about APS1. I'm talking about BDG. I'm talking about AWKW. Is that how you say the letter W? W. Which is to say, if it pertains to my interests in film, music, games, anime, manga, I'm absorbed in the culture and events that have changed these mediums over time. And I also have such a deep appreciation for those who catalog, archive, and share about their times living through the changes of these art forms. Enter New Type magazine, an artifact of early 2000s American otaku culture that truly represents the excitement I have for history in 186 pages. Not only that, it is the excitement that I know this magazine sparked in its readership that inspired me to make this video in the first place. I picked this up sealed at last year's Fan Expo Canada. I've heard about this legendary magazine before, but I didn't know that they had a US publication of it, and since I can't read when I bought this, I totally thought I was getting a Japanese copy. New Type magazine was first published in March of 1985 in Japan. The magazine features previews of upcoming anime, interviews with industry professionals, illustration tips, TV schedules, music articles, postcards, manga, and plenty more. A US version of the magazine was published between 2002 to 2008 by AD Vision. The US version contains translated articles from the Japanese version, like for instance the copy I have. The cover and feature article is from the May 2000 issue of the Japanese publication. Along with the translated articles, New Type USA features plenty of new content for its English-speaking audience, including release schedules, convention reports, DVD previews, posters, columns, and much more. There is plenty for us to discover here, so let's open it up. What immediately struck my interest is the ads for all the anime-related stores featured throughout the issue. I just love how they chose to represent themselves, like this ad clearly in the how to draw anime style, said with immense endearment and respect, or this one that was like, yeah, sex sells, or this other one that's like, can you read where the website is? As a kid, I can imagine how fun it would be to just scroll through these websites looking for all your favorite series, dreaming about what you wish you could buy. And with so many of these shops no longer in business, we are looking at the history of anime culture and fandom in North America. Fingers crossed that I win the collector's edition with the pair of panties. Does ADV do a lot of fan service localization? Here we have the goodies section. I imagine this being a favorite part of the magazine for many. These postcards would be so cute to send in the mail. Who wants one? Those must be the famous panties that are being given away. Here is the DVD preview. You know, on second thought, my mom told me to stay away from mature situations, so we won't be able to look at that today, sorry. Throughout this whole issue, the aspect that stuck out to me the most was the magazine's commitment to keep in plenty of its Japan-specific content. There are TV listings and sales reports, plenty of previews for anime with no official English release in sight. Even this small detail in the illustration tip section where they didn't replace the Japanese Photoshop image. It's this uncompromising nature of the magazine that I know must have made its readers so excited. So many series that you were just left to dream about and anticipate. I think it's exciting that the readers got to experience their interest in a very authentic way because so much of it was coming directly from Japan. And looking back now, you really are transported back to that era in anime history. People are still fighting over if Rei or Asuka is better. So many series in here that are largely forgotten about. Even seeing that Naruto was only on its 34th episode when this issue came out. The first volume of the manga was just about to be released in English. We are right on the cusp of a huge shift in what dominates the anime space. And speaking of history, the English articles actually feature a lot on it. Like this conversation with Carl Masick, who despite his controversial reputation in anime fandom is still an important part of its history, as Carl was involved in bringing a lot of series over to the West in the 80s and 90s. Or this feature about the first official anime exclusive convention held in North America. It was so fascinating to read how long it took for there to be an anime convention that wasn't associated with other sci-fi or Comic-Con conventions at the time, but that also had an active involvement from Japanese creators and American distributors of Japanese animation. Even when this article refers to the unofficial anime viewings in the backroom of sci-fi cons prior to this convention, these are foundational moments for anime spreading across North America. Another article of note is the one that discusses the release of Treasure Planet and details how the story of Treasure Planet has had several anime adaptations over the years. I appreciate that the magazine cares about educating its audience on the long history of Japanese animation. New Type USA really captures the excitement you can feel from fully experiencing your interest. Its English content shares both anime history back in Japan, but also how the art form has grown over the years in North America. The excitement I'm sure so many felt from seeing all the anime they've never heard of, to learning what stores they can shop at, what's being released that month, what cons they can go to, websites they can visit, posters they can hang up, panties they could win. I would have loved to read this back when it was being released each month so I could have my 186 pages of anime excitement. Like many of you out there, my wallet is also a victim of the great manga boom in recent years, and I'm really happy about it. I was a big reader of American comics in the past, and even when I was younger, my brother and I shared a small collection of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh manga, but up until recently, that's all I've read. After watching Jujutsu Kaisen and loving it, I knew I had to continue with the story immediately. We do not wait for MAPPA here. I am begging you to give those people a break. I downloaded the Viz app, and after catching up with the manga, and then beginning to read several other series, I couldn't get enough. I knew I wanted to get some physical editions, and after looking at some recommendations, I decided to go with 20th Century Boys by Naoki Urasawa. A favorite among many, I found myself immediately hooked by Urasawa's art, story, and characters. With this being my first physical edition as well, I loved how the ink on the page just made all the artwork so much more impactful and vibrant. Having that physical book, that kind of art form in my hand, really changed how I felt about it and how much I loved it, you know? I expressed my excitement by getting up early so that I could read a volume before work, you know, desperately scouring every bookstore in Canada to try to find that one volume that was seemingly out of stock everywhere. And I would even stop myself from finishing the book because it was going to be several days before I could get the next one. Because if you know Urasawa, you know how painful his cliffhangers are. Point being, I was stoked on the series and the entire art form I had in front of me to explore. There were so many stories for me to experience. Like, I never thought I'd be into sports manga, but ping pong really opened me up to the genre. This has happened in the past with plenty of interests, like music, movies, games, even American comics. And I wanted to take the time to highlight this kind of excitement. You know, a big foundational interest doesn't come around very often, and it's just, I think, really an exciting time because, you know, for me, so much of my free time is spent, you know, obsessing over that, looking all this stuff up online, trying to find more recommendations, you know, reading the book, like how much I would, you know, spend just like looking at it on my shelf for you to be kind of like innocent in this interest, and also only comes around once. So like, I thought 20th Century Boys, when I read it, I was like, wow, this is the greatest story ever. And I still really like it, but like that height that I thought it was at, you know, is only something that you kind of feel when you're in a new interest. And, you know, that's special. That's something that is cool to have. It's comforting knowing that there's still plenty more of those unknown interests out there for me to experience. And, you know, that makes life exciting. That makes my days exciting. That it's just good to know. That's just good to feel that there's plenty more out there for me to experience, for me to be excited about and fall in love with. Yeah. It's It's easy to say that excitement is seen as a positive emotion, and as I was making this video and looking how excitement affected my life, I realized that excitement doesn't always affect me in a positive way per se. A recent experience I had really truly revealed to myself how I had been actually repressing a lot of excitement that I could have been feeling for years. To start off the story, the context you need to know is that I have the strong rooted belief that if I tell someone something that I am anticipating, it doesn't happen. This could be something inconsequential like going to Avatar 2, or it could be something little higher stakes like, oh, I had a job interview last week, it went really great. What I would consider the constant reinforcement of this belief has stopped me from sharing any exciting aspect of my life with someone else until it has already happened. Content warning, white boy whose personality is going to Japan. Once I had a full-time job after finishing school, I knew I could finally start planning a trip to Japan. Things were looking up for travel in 2022, and the group I was going to be going with decided to try to go in October of that year. After the plane and accommodation was booked, we waited for the country to announce its reopening. Throughout the whole year, when anyone would ask me what I'm doing for my vacation, I would just say, yeah, I think I'm gonna go to Scandinavia. Yeah, just gotta plan it. It's just waiting to see. Right up to the end of August, we were about to give up hope, but then the government announced that they would be letting travelers in without the need to book a private tour. You would need some other documentation like a visa and some other stuff, but it was possible to go now. This is amazing news. There's some obstacles in the way, but we went through the process to get the right documentation. It was stressful. There was not a lot of time to get this all done. But in the end, we got everything that we needed. But there was still something in the back of my mind that was like, okay, you got everything, but there's still some kind of possibility where they could turn you away. Even one of my close friends who I told I could possibly be going to Japan in a couple days, I made him preference all his advice with, hypothetically, if you went to Japan. I saw my one friend the day before I was supposed to leave, and I said, I don't know what I'm doing for my vacation. It's just like, what the fuck, bro? But in the end, we made it, and I had an amazing time. There's so many memories there that I will cherish forever, and I feel so lucky and blessed that I was able to go in the first place. But how does excitement come into this? Obviously, I was excited while I was on the trip, but leading up, there wasn't any. The repression of that excitement and the refusal to share it with others kind of ended up backfiring in an amusing way. A coworker of mine ran into my closest friend who knew I was going on the trip and also understands my weird superstition at a bakery. And my coworker was surprised to see that my friend wasn't on the trip with me and asked, oh, wait, where's Nick? And my friend replies with a very cryptic, he will tell you when he's back. So while I'm on the trip, the workplace is hypothesizing what this cryptic comment means. Like, is Nick interviewing for a job overseas? Did something happen to his family? Is he going to prison? Is he just really weird? Which I guess is true. Looking back on it now, it feels kind of cruel that I didn't allow myself to necessarily be excited, share that with others, share that even with myself. Like, I entirely stopped looking at, any kind of activities or places to visit, stuff like that, because I didn't want to be excited and, kind of crushed if it didn't happen. How often in life do these events that you've been looking forward to for so many years and that you only get to experience for the first time once happen? Like, not very often. And so for all this time leading up to this, amazing trip that I got to go on, there's no excitement there. And I think that's just kind of sad looking back on it. This whole experience has really made me reflect on why I have this superstition. Is it valid? But I also hope that it opens me up to more excitement in the future, not only for my own personal enjoyment, but so that I can share that with those closest to me. Thank you so much for watching. I'm hoping this video revealed some excitement in your life. See you next month. Tastes like excitement.